But you better ask good questions.
Okay, I would like to thank you for coming. This is for my class for my graduate studies, my human sexuality course.
Okay.
So I want to thank you too for coming and participating in my presentation.
You're welcome.
Prior to the presentation, the ladies have taken the questionnaire, and I have other participants that have taken the questionnaire, but they are not available at this time. So briefly, I want to just go over, this is a requirement for my course, first off, and I have chosen sexual education or sex education in the academic atmosphere, basically for elementary school students. So I've just honed in on age 6 through 10. So that would be kindergarten, possibly through 5th grade, 5th or 6th grade. Just depends on where the birth dates fall.
Okay.
Okay, then my intent in choosing this title is to educate and empower students, parents, and educators. And I thought that there was a need for us to have these type of talks with parents and educators, church leaders, things like that. Anybody that has any access to children, this is important for us to have. My intent was to expose parents to actually welcome them into dialogue, beneficial dialogue with educators as well as their children. Now with everything that's going on in our media, the Supreme Court ruling, things like that that are sexually undercurrent or something that has to do with sex at all, because the children are predisposed to certain things that you and I probably were not predisposed to at, or when we were coming up. So that's the main premise of why I wanted to discuss this and explore this a little bit more. I do have literature for you all to review when you leave the presentation, to review, especially you, since you have a son that's in middle school and you have grandchildren, so you can use that. So the basic, my premise is that workshops take place with educators and parents. I'm gonna focus on that solely because we really can't talk about the spiritual portion of it, because that's different.
Right.
It shouldn't be, but it is. So let's just talk about just education straight as a traditional school, charter school, Montessori, what have you, in that type of setting.
Okay.
So my suggestion would be that parents come like a town hall meeting where they can write suggestions down, questions, concerns, and put them in a box. They can revisit at a later time where the school district, school administration, what have you, will get back with them with answers to those questions, with a meeting agenda or something, so it's productive and it moves smoother. Also, at the end of that, the parent should feel that they are a part of the educational process within the school. So there should be a conclusion to that particular meeting. Then at a later time, the parents need to be given possibly a book, workbook, leaflets, things for them to take home to work with their child. And that will couple with what the educators are doing in the school, so it's a dual process versus a one-sided process. That is my first suggestion, because I don't feel that you should take the parents' parenting right away from them. They should be a part of the process altogether. So, so also I ran into an issue with the sex ed and health ed. I know that when I was in school, they did graze over sex, but it's more so about health, which should be a part of that, but at that time, of course, they weren't doing that. I also thought about asking or getting in contact with Cokesbury or McGraw-Hill, these big companies that make textbooks, to see if they have some type of curriculum that could be utilized within the schools or at home. A parent can get it themselves. I also would want the Department of Health, or wherever you are, we're here in Jackson County, Kansas City, Missouri. I have a partnership. I can get partnership with the health department to come in on a quarterly basis and say, hey, look, you know, we have these things on the rise. Here's some prevention, actual hands-on. Somebody that actually works in that atmosphere can give the kids a little bit more insight, especially the older children.
That's a good idea.
So that would be a part of the prevention and awareness piece to it. The reasoning behind that would be the need of awareness for prevention of pregnancy, spread of communicable diseases, communicable diseases as well as sexually transmitted diseases, because there's a difference. So the partnership would be between parents, educators with books, workbooks, handouts. There's YouTube videos. There's all types of things for us to be empowered as parents and educators.
But I would, the only question I would ask is, with all this knowledge that it's like giving a person a book. So to me, the talk would be more prevalent if this is informing me, because, you know, this wasn't done in my day.
Right.
So, you know, we got the information from a book. So therefore, we would just blew it off.
Right. So that's where the piece, because you have to do it in stages. You would have to do the parents first, their suggestions, then you come back and have a conclusion. Then there would be a point in time where you can have workshop with the children, with their parents, in the educational setting.
Would you have role play?
You can have role play, especially when it comes to sexual abuse, touching, good touch, bad touch, things like that. You can have that. They do have videos for that if that makes parents feel uncomfortable, because that kind of would make me feel uncomfortable, just being honest. But there's things that we can get on a person's comfort level in order to give the information that's needed. The questionnaire that you all filled out, I have two. I have one for the students and one for the parents. Of course, the parent questionnaire was 10 questions long, so it's more entailed than the kids. The kids gave some interesting interesting feedback, but they all said that they were comfortable with speaking with their parents, which is a good thing, because I know that I wasn't. And that's new. So I thought that was a good thing. So with giving you all this questionnaire, and I was going through, and I noticed that most parents and grandparents said that there is a need for sex education. And then they did mention some things about their past and what they have been privy to or exposed to. And also speaking about health class, I see here. And that my question, do you think that sex education is important or appropriate? Most people said yes, if it's done correctly or implemented in a way that's sensitive to the parents' expectations. So those are things that are pretty consistent. I don't know if that's consistent with the people that I deal with or that I've had the questionnaire with. I didn't ask anyone that I did not know, if that makes sense. So basically, when you interact with someone, they're more like you than other people. So that's one thing that I would be interested to see, that someone that's not particularly like me would say. So we have a need. It's asked. One parent answered question 6, how in depth do you think this type of curriculum should go with regards to your child or other children? They mentioned that permission slips should be given, maybe topics of lesson plan or approval by the parents. So basically parent interaction. The parents want a voice. All of them basically said the same thing on that. The expectations that I asked about, what would your expectations be for such a program? Maturity level, attention, interaction with the parent, knowledge base, need base, things like that. Interactive things, like, because these kids are, I'm a more hands-on person, but some these kids, they do computer and things like that. So to see how that goes. Then Also, I had a parent say that they wanted to keep it real. In other words, keep it 100.
That's right.
Even though, that's not an academic term. But I understand. Basically, the truth is the truth.
Yeah.
What it is that we did, they don't need to know specifics. But they do need to know.
Yeah.
Right, they need to know that they're just as human as we are, or
That's right.
vice versa. They don't need to see that we are omnipotent presence and that we have not done anything, because they wouldn't be here if we didn't.
Right.
So that's just keeping it 100.
Keeping it real.
Yeah. So, did you all have any suggestions with regards to possibly getting, and I'm going to check this video, possibly getting this implemented in a school setting?
I didn't catch that.
Yeah. Any suggestions
I
other
don't-
than the workshops? What do you think? Do you think like a parent should have? Do you want to keep it private, where maybe you set up an email situation where you can email the administration, like, look, I came across this article, or
Yeah, I think it's
Things
good
like
to,
that.
to just maybe private at first, to just kind of get it out there and
Mhm.
see what they think about it, because you just
Yeah,
never
some
know.
parent- yeah.
I don't agree with that.
you don't think so? So how would you
Because-
communicate? Let's say, for instance, you were at home and you were watching something on TV, and they gave you pause, and you were like, "Well, I think that this should be in my grandkids' school," or how do I get that information
But-
to the
But
staff?
you have to, you have to ask yourself the question, if it's that important that you wanted to get it to the school, you'll get it to the school.
hmm
You know.
But of course, you'll probably
maybe
tell your
you'd-
daughter or
yeah,
whoever,
no,
or your
I'm-
grandkids directly.
No, I'm saying that you'll get it to the school.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I would probably.
To the teacher personally, one-on-one or whatever.
Mhm.
You can, like, if you go and take your kids to pick your kids up from school,
hmm
you'll just say, "Hey, I'll be right back in about 10 minutes," and run into school and talk to the teacher and let her know this. And if it's an article, give that article to the teacher. I would not trust that information with my children.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
would-
like email.
Yeah, I would say
Yeah.
I would probably email like the
Not a
principal.
note, email.
Yeah, email it.
Or probably
Yeah,
ask
the
the principal if they could do a face-to-face, because I think you can plead your case better when
Right.
you're talking to somebody face-to-face
Mhm,
versus
mhm.
shooting an email, things get lost. And if you can get your point across and get them on your side, then they can go to the administration, to the school board, and say, hey, I think we need to look at this or whatever, and then maybe they can pilot it in their school, and then they can do other schools. So I think you probably need to start with someone that works at the school, at the VP or
Right.
principal office or whatever.
But
Try to
the
get them
thing
on your
of it
side.
is, like, if the teacher is going to teach it,
Mhm.
it's not the principal that's going to teach it. I would entrust the teacher with that information, because I feel that she has to know this.
Yeah, I think
you
the
know?
teacher should know,
Should
but I don't
know
think the
what's going
teachers. My thing is, I don't think the teachers have the power to put it in the class.
Right.
So that's why
See,
I
so
say go to.
That's why the workshop, I'm thinking it would be a third party.
Mhm.
Right.
It's not, so, first of all, that's burdensome to the teacher and to implement when he or she has all this
All
other
that
stuff
other
to do.
Right. Okay.
So if it could be like a partnership with someone that comes in that has this base of information that's relaying it to them, the parents and the students, and they all work together as
now
a
I
collective.
totally see what you mean.
Yeah,
There
that would be a
has
lot.
to be
It has
an
to be
extra.
a third party. It
Yeah.
can't be. They have enough
Yes.
to do.
Yes.
And two, I know that it would take dollars
Yes.
to do it, and I know that a couple of years ago, the kids' school were talking about a new, was it a math curriculum where they spent a couple of $1,000s on that. It might have to be something that's grant written or whatever to pay for it, because schools are struggling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but this is something that's definitely needed in our schools,
That's true.
Agree.
and it's really needed now.
Yeah.
And
That's
I don't
true.
think any age is too young
I
to,
don't-
to expose them. And you're not talking about sexual intercourse. You're talking about your anatomy, difference between boy and girl, what's
Right.
good touch,